All right, I think I'm live now. I will figure out how to do that quicker at some point, but I'm here and it's so fun to be live. And it's so fun to prepare for these conversations. I wanted to start with just a few breaths, a few big breaths. So whether you're tuning in live or um, you're watching the replay, let's take a couple breaths. So um, you can close your eyes. I am. Take a nice big breath in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Again, like that. Inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. And final one, breathe in. Open mouth, exhale. You can gently start to blink your eyes open if you did close them. Welcoming yourself back into this space. So, yeah, welcome. Today's topic here is, if you read the title, what is the linear mind and how is it related to yoga? And I'll start first by explaining a bit more the intention behind this. Um, for me, being a part of this yoga journey within the yoga world, I've noticed and have witnessed for some time now um, that we're, including me, I'm including myself in this yoga industry, we're derailing away from some of the core values and some of the core components of yoga. I don't know why I said that twice, but of yoga. And in that derailing, we're forgetting the component of um, the mind body aspect, the mindfulness aspect of the yoga practice, and the component or the aspect or the value of truly belonging, that everybody belongs in this conversation. Everybody has space or has the ability to take up space in these conversations or in these teachings of yoga. I want everybody that is either listening or my student or a practitioner to feel like they belong in in a yoga studio, in a yoga room, in a conversation about yoga. And that's truly my mission, or one of the missions that I hope to extend through or in Mother of the Mind. And as a Latina yoga teacher, somebody that's underrepresented within the wellness world, um, I question or I wonder what my experience was like when it truly felt like perhaps I didn't belong in that room, or I was the only one that looked like me. And right, the physical, we look first at our physical self, um, and then that, however we extend or expand ourself within the physical self, the inner mind self also starts to unfold. And yeah, so I want to say that because that's really the intention here is Mother of the Mind is a teaching platform. These conversations are meant to offer you teachings that come from yoga, the wisdom of yoga. I am not um, reinventing anything, or I'm not inventing anything. I'm not, while yes, I have my own twist and my own perspective to this, I'm truly wanting to extend the practice from what I've learned and share it with you. So, my name is Brenda, by the way. I am a passionate yoga teacher. I am also a business owner. I own a mindful marketing business as well as my newest platform, Mother of the Mind here. And today's topic, or the topics, right, that I'm extending, and if you watch the first conversations, we talked about the four parts of the mind. And in today's conversation, I want to dive a little bit deeper into one of the parts, and the linear mind. I'll just say it out loud. The linear mind. The linear mind. If you remember them in Sanskrit, it's manas. And linear mind is one translation. It can also be referred to as the emotional mind, the irrational mind. It can also be known as the chitta, or chitta vritti. So if you're familiar with some of the foundational books like the Yoga Sutras, in that foundational yoga book, it's often referred to also as the chitta vritti, and that means kind of that fluctuations up and down type of mind. And so already that in itself, right? I'm already explaining how this mind, the linear mind, is a part of these foundational texts, yoga texts. So we can already see that that is how the linear mind is related to yoga. And I want to just take it a little further. Um, I'm looking at my notes and I want to step back a little bit. Um, the linear mind, or manas, are or is essentially our primary emotions, or they can be also explained as our primary emotions. And our primary emotions are that of like and dislike, and happiness and suffering. So it's very like yes and no. It's one and two. And we often, or we may see this um, kind of in our day-to-day activities, right? Of choosing something, or of purchasing something, of making a decision. Yeah, yes, I want to go to something, or no, I don't want to go. And it can also show up in our day-to-day um, when we are faced with making a difficult decision, and the options that present to ourselves are a bit, not dramatic, but like, I can only either do this, or I can only either do that. And this kind of, this manas um, almost blocks out that there's actually more ways to make a decision. There might be other creative ways, other ways that we can envision this decision. But that emotional, irrational, the primary emotions make it feel like I can only do it this way, or I can only do it that way, and there's no other way in between. And that's why when we start to dive deeper into the other three parts, we can start to see why it's helpful to have, just in general, right? The mind doesn't work in these compartments, but it's helpful to analyze them a little bit so that we can then see, like, how do we then end up getting out of this binary thinking or binary mode? How do we then get out of that and get more creative or flexible or observatory? Yeah, observatory towards our decisions. Yeah. Um, so then, how may this show up in what we may know as perhaps modern yoga, or the yoga that we step into as a physical practice? So, you know, I would encourage you to observe it the next time that you do decide to practice. And it may take a moment to kind of witness it because it does happen kind of instinctually. I like this pose. I don't like this pose. I like the teacher's voice. I don't like the teacher's voice. Um, and that could be just playing in the background the entire time that you are practicing the physical aspect of yoga known as asana. Um, and that is one example of how we can begin to tie in this mind body component, this mind body connection that I'm trying to reinvite. Um, and that is one way to see how the linear mind and yoga are related. And how do we see manas? How do we see this linear mind in our mind practices? So if you have a sitting down meditation or some type of mindful practice that is does not involve the movement aspect of it, how does the linear mind show up? Very similarly, it may present itself right before we may step into that more still mindful practice. I don't want to meditate, or I do want to meditate. And then once you are in it, it may show up with that same kind of two-part um, emotional, primary emotional aspect, the happiness or the suffering, to be just kind of simple in that way. Um, and I want to just emphasize that neither direction is right or wrong. We are observing and witnessing the patterns of our mind. And so, whether we don't like something for a long time or whether we do like something for a long time, they are both a valid experience. And the more that we can start to integrate our likes and our dislikes and welcome them and observe them, I think the more that we can step into our most fullest and authentic self and speak from the position of happiness and speak from the position of suffering. This is a practice, right? We're not here to observe our mind for perfection. We learn most about ourselves when we practice. We learn most about ourselves when we step into the practice as a student with curiosity, with questions, and stepping forward and looking for that teacher. I, right now, am in my teacher role. I am teaching you, I hope, something. And other times, I am the student. And I love being the student. I love being the student because I can be curious again. I can ask questions again. I can go with something that interested me and take it a little further and start to learn a bit more about it, bring it back to myself, view it and see it how it comes up in my person, in my life, in my world, and then I can then extend it out and teach it to you. And it's almost like this cycle um, where we don't often, or we won't wear the teacher or the student role exclusively. We are both. Even if you don't end up teaching this in a teaching setting, you may be teaching it through your behavior, teaching it to somebody with a new conversation. So I say that because I want to emphasize here that these conversations are intended, and Mother of the Mind is also intended to be a teaching platform. I want to teach the teachings that have fulfilled me and that have helped and supported me on my journey. And so I hope that you can join any of my offerings, join any of the offerings on Mother of the Mind. There is a masterclass on the second Saturdays of the month. So there is one coming up here in February. You can check it out on my website, motherofthemind.com. And I'll be integrating this teaching, right? This teaching that you just heard through voice, and we'll be exploring it through body, and we'll be exploring it through mind and observation, and we'll be exploring it through sitting, through a sitting practice. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found some of these teachings insightful, and feel free to ask me questions, comment below, subscribe, and I'm here to support you and anything that you have, anything that could propel you on your journey through these mindful practices. Have a great day.